Hey guys, welcome to the Hot Tub Club where inspiration bubbles up. I'm your host, Samara Renee, and today our guest is someone who believes that gratitude isn't just a feeling, it's a way of life. Justin Morgan is a gratitude coach as well as a real estate agent and a founder of Gratitude FM, a daily podcast and a growing platform dedicated to helping people reconnect with joy, peace, and purpose through the power of gratitude. Justin, welcome to the
Hey,
podcast.
thank you. Glad to be here.
I am so excited because I want men on my podcast. I think it's important. And there's so many men that are doing great things. Since the whole idea of the hot tub club in the hot tub at the Hyatt at BTS, I was like, I have to have Justin on the podcast because he's a cool dude and he's got a really great idea. I'm so excited to hear about it. So welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Okay, so the number one question that we always start the show off with is how did we meet? So, how did we meet, Justin?
That's a great question. It was unexpected. We both met at Jack Canfield, and anyone that knows Jack Canfield was like the OG storyteller from Chicken Soup for the Soul. We've all had those books, right? Someone gave me Chicken Noodle Soup for the Teenage Soul when I was a kid.
Yep.
And I didn't get it back then, but I look back and I just thought that's brilliant. He told wonderful stories. And then he released a book called The Success Principles, which is like a decade of life, or more than a decade, decades of life condensed down of everything Jack's learned from his mentors. And so we went to his conference called Breakthrough to Success, and we had this cool community that just got together. We would share ideas, the highs and the lows of what we were learning, what challenges we were facing, what we wanted to bring into the world. And it was like a mini mastermind group, and it all happened at the Hyatt, and it was perfect and brilliant. Looking back, we all became really good friends through the process, very unexpectedly. We're in different states, and yet we still stay in touch, talking about ideas, masterminding, and it's just been a joy.
It's been so cool. I remember the first time I saw you, and the reason why my eyes went towards you is because you had that orange jacket on that you wear as corduroy, and it's my favorite color, orange. So I was like, that's a cool jacket. I love that. And then I just kept hearing everybody was talking to at BTS was like, oh, have you met Justin? Have you met Justin? He's so cool. You should talk to Justin. And somehow we started talking. And then next thing we know, we're like, hey, you want to come hang out in the hot tub?
Yeah, we had our mastermind group hanging out in the hot tub, talking about life. And I guess there's the power of an orange corduroy jacket. I thought it was just like a Goodwill purchase, but it turns out that people like old 1970s corduroy jackets. And
Is that really 1970s?
Well, it's like a replica of a 1970s.
Okay.
So it's more modernized, like the fit. Because if we look back at the clothing in the 70s, it's kind of like loose, boxy. And this one's more of I don't know. It's just, have you ever had a piece of clothing like that just fit right? When you wear it, you're like, this is who I am. I am just this person wearing this. I don't know. There's just such a joy with a piece of clothes that just fits right.
Yeah, no, it's a vibe. And I think people were picking up on the positive vibes and it works. And I really need to step up my game. I need to get back into the orange. That was my signature color for forever.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think what you're talking about too, what's really cool about this is I would have never just worn an orange jacket, but some reason it fit. And I think the more we become who we are and the more we can express that, whether it's words or purpose or clothing, the more people get curious about that. And the more people, maybe it sparks something in everybody around going, well, I like an orange corduroy jacket. Maybe I should find one, or maybe I should go on eBay or Etsy or whatever. But there's this joy of like finding out what works for each one of us. And I think it's inspirational. Right?
It's super cool.
And even having conversations that are intentional. I love the idea that this podcast was made from a hot tub mastermind group, right? Where it wasn't just hanging out and just chatting about the day. It was really diving in of like, where are we at in our purpose? Where are we at in our journey? How many things have we been to before? How many do we want to go?
Yeah.
And there's power in people sharing that in stories. We shared kind of backstories where we're at. It was powerful.
No, it was totally powerful. That's why I never wanted to leave the hot tub, because we were having these really in-depth conversations. And it was like, oh my God. I mean, we had people like internationally, people in different states. And just hearing everybody's dreams. I think it's so powerful because it's a place where you can talk about your dreams and people aren't going to laugh at you. Then you end up leaving with a bunch of people that you can either have in a mastermind group, accountability group, or sometimes it can be like your best friend. You never know. I mean,
Totally.
and our group, we started the hot tub club. What is it, Marco? Our Marco Polos.
Hmm.
And that was fire for a long time where everyone was posting at like long polos, like 15-minute, 20-minute
Too long
polos.
polos.
They were like crazy, but it was like almost being in their life. Like, we were doing offline conversations. It was insane. And we were just like walking around our whole day just talking with each other. And it's like a 30-minute message. And then you got to like reply to that 30-minute message where we were taking notes on what we were talking about. It was ridiculous. That's the type of people that you meet at Breakthrough to Success. And I'm super excited that you're going to be there in a few weeks and we're going to meet some cool people. And you're bringing your brother, which I think is pretty dope. Love it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that invitation that we all need is like, hey, come and see. Just come and
Yeah.
see. There's something for you here. And it's Jack's last time. It's the
I just
last
can't even get over
breakthrough to
it.
success. So what a joy we get to hang and celebrate with such a good person. And Patty is incredible. His whole team's incredible.
Mhm.
And I thought about that because with the idea of mentorship, there's an old writer named Napoleon Hill who wrote Think and Grow Rich right after the Great Depression hit. That got a ton of people through to the other side with their goals. And then he mentored a man named W. Clement Stone, who was this successful businessman who read, he read all Napoleon stuff, wrote his own stuff. And then W. Clement Stone mentored Jack. And then Jack mentored Patty,
Mhm.
and we are kind of in that lineage of really
Yes.
powerful thinkers and really powerful people that have brought a lot of great things in this world and a lot of healing and joy and goal setting and all these things. But we are like part of that now because of all the
Mhm.
mentorship and all the friendships that happened along the way. I think
You're
that's so
so
powerful.
right. You're so right. And Cafe, who was on a couple of weeks ago, she said the same thing. And she goes, well, that's the whole reason why we all went to these trainings because we're the next generation of thought leaders. And I was like, you're right. So now it's our turn to step up and any way that we are meant to step up, start leading in our own ways. So it's a sad time because, he's going to be retiring, but it's also a powerful time because all of us are going to be stepping into the next phase of our lives as, inspiring the world with leadership. So it's pretty amazing.
Super amazing. I once heard someone say the best ideas and the most powerful ideas you'll find in a graveyard. And I was shocked. I kept wondering, like, what do they mean by that? And he said, most people never bring those ideas out to the world
Yeah.
and they go with them.
Mhm. Mhm. That
And
is
I
so
love that
true.
we're trying to be people that bring those ideas and that inspiration and those tools to others rather than just keep them to ourselves and then they just kind of die away. And that's not what's happening here. And I love that you started this podcast to bring those ideas out to the world, to get different perspectives, to be curious about these things, and also to have other people maybe listening going, I've never heard of this breakthrough to success thing, or I've never
Mhm.
heard of Jack Canfield or Patty Aubrey or any of these people. I want to know more. And it's that
Yeah.
invitation.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Was there's just so many people who just don't know the goodness of Jack Canfield. That's one. But also just meeting so many good people at these conferences. And I'm like, they're not celebrities. Some people are getting to that level with their careers right now, but there's a lot of people who are on the grassroots levels doing amazing things. And their story needs to be out there. And I think that's really important that, you don't have to be a major celebrity or a media mogul. You can be if you want, but you could be doing something on a more grassroots level and still have a major impact on the world. And it's important to hear those stories. And so that's why I was like, okay, I need to stop hiding and I need to just do the podcast and throw it out there and see what happens. And I'm really glad that I get to have you on today because then people get to know who you are. I'm really excited to hear about Gratitude FM and your whole gratitude coach journey. So let's kick this part off of your story. Love to hear about it. What sparked this idea? Was this an idea that you had prior to Breakthrough to Success weekend? Or did that develop over time? Tell me about your gratitude journey and how this all started with you.
It's been a long time coming. I think I've had this wondering of how do I add value to the world? I see a lot of other people adding value and they just find their niche. They're just really good at something and they go, this is who I am. And I go, oh, that's so cool for you. I don't really know who I am. And I don't really know what I'm good at yet. And that's kind of been something that's been part of my story for a long time, kind of the jack of all trades and master of none idea.
Mm-hmm,
And I'm like,
mm-hmm.
it'd be cool to be a master of something where you can actually like work at a craft and really get it down and just, and I've never felt that. And so I was struggling in 2020, and this is how the catalyst all came about for gratitude. I was just in a really hard place. It was a really hard, the pandemic for me was really hard when it started, and my business wasn't going well. I'm in real estate. I couldn't show homes. I was wondering, like, is the world ending? My career seemed like it was ending. I've worked so hard for, and I was just in a really dark place. Couldn't leave the house. Couldn't see people's expressions anymore. And my daughter noticed that in me. And so one day I was downstairs in my like small office space and just kind of in a dark night of the soul season. And my daughter came down and she had this crumpled up piece of paper that was wrapped in a ton of tape. And it was, I was like, how much tape did you use? And she goes, Dad, no, don't worry about it. It's a present I made for you. And it just looked like a giant ball of tape.
Yeah.
So she hands it to me. And I said, thanks, like, cool, a ball of tape. And she's like, Dad, no, it's a gift. She's like, you got to open it. And I'm like, okay, this doesn't really make sense, but I'm going to try. And I'm trying to like tear the tape. I can't get it open. So I finally like find a pen and I'm trying to like wiggle it in to try to break the barrier on this thing. And so I'm pulling across the tape and she's just staring patiently at me, waiting for Dad to open this thing. And inside I find just a ton of crumpled up paper, like a giant ball of crumpled up paper. And I said, oh, cool. Like, thanks so much. You made this cool present for me, And she's like, no, Dad, it's in the paper. Keep working to get to it. So I'm like fumbling this thing, trying to keep this special moment. And then I finally like open the paper. It's kind of like one of those toys where like there's a toy and a toy and a toy, and you got to keep taking the lid off.
Right.
So finally inside, I get to the middle, the center of this thing, and it's a little blue button. And it looks like it had fallen off like a 1970s jacket. And so I was wondering, and I said, oh, cool, a little button, thank you. And she's like, Dad, that's not just a button. That's a gratitude button. And I
Wait,
didn't
how
really
old was your daughter at this time?
5.
Wow.
And she said, Dad, I got this button for you. I found it and I wanted to give it to you as a gratitude button. And so I asked her about this button. I said, well, what do you mean gratitude button? And she said, well, whenever you see it, Dad, think of things that you're grateful for. And so I thanked her and I was excited. And then I remember she walked upstairs, I put it on my desk. And at first I was really excited. And then I had this kind of like inner wrestling of going, that was really sweet. She did that. I wish you would know that a button can't really like change someone's life. Like part of me, there was like this cynicism that was like, yeah, I wish a little button would be awesome and just really change my life. And so it sat there for a day and I didn't do anything with it. And the next day I came down to go to work and then I saw the blue button. And I at that point, I just thought it might be worth just trying this thing out. Like what I'm doing now is not working. And if there's anything that this thing can do, I'm open to it. And so I thought about one thing I was grateful for when I saw the button. Then the next day I saw the button. I did the same thing. And then I kept seeing the button because it was right next to my computer. And about a week later, it was really weird. I looked in the mirror when I was walking by a mirror and I like noticed my face wasn't like tensed up. And I forgot that I was in a dark night of the soul a week before. Like I had moved from scarcity, fear, anxiety to a place of just feeling a little bit more normal, a little bit more joyful, a little bit more hopeful. And I thought about that and I thought the only thing different from a week ago is my daughter gave me that gratitude button. I started thinking about 1 or 2 or 3 things I was grateful for. And so that really got me thinking about how a 5-year-old kid gave me an idea that they knew inside, like gratitude is very important. And I forgot as an adult. I got busy doing life and I got busy paying bills and running businesses and just feeling very overwhelmed. And I forgot that one of the greatest things that someone could gift me is remembering to think about the things I'm grateful for because I already had such good things in my life despite what was going on in the world. I mean, the world didn't change. Nothing had changed that in a week, but I had changed. And it was all from this little small gratitude practice. And that's what sparked the journey. So fast forward to BTS, Jack and the team asked, what is your breakthrough goal? What do you want to bring to the world? And I was like sweating. I'm like, I'm the only one here that doesn't know. Everyone else is like, oh, I'm going to write these books and I'm going to, start this movement. I'm going to
That's
just be
the
this.
joke right there.
And I'm looking around and everyone's writing and they're like, I'm on fire with all these great ideas. And I'm like, I don't know why I came here. Maybe I got here by accident because I'm the one person that doesn't know. And that story came back, like that blue button came back in that moment. My daughter saw something in me and it called me to action. And she's got a different dad because of that. Now we practice gratitude as a family. And it's really powerful because she was the catalyst to that. And then Jack saying, you need to think about what your breakthrough goal is. And for me, it was, I can't keep this to myself because had I not got that tool, I don't know where I'd be today.
Love that story. In my mind, I'm already thinking of a children's book already, with your daughter being the teacher to the parents, which honestly, children are our best teachers. I personally
Yes.
think that. And they just have this little wisdom and a little bit of body, little bitty body, and they teach us so many things. And yeah, your daughter was serving up lessons and didn't even realize
Oof.
it.
For
Like
sure.
major lessons. And I almost feel like that's a God moment too, because it was like drop down into your heart. Like when you're here panicking, like, I have no idea what I'm doing with my life. And it was like, boom, I already gave it to you. The message was here.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
It was
so
right in
crazy.
front of me the whole time and I couldn't see it.
Hmm.
And all those things to be grateful for were right in front of me the whole time. And I was so blind to see it. It was like everything was taken because I couldn't see what I already had.
Right.
And now it's like, wow, what if everyone had a chance to think about that? Because our world has its own challenges now. We have our own kind of different, we will always have these things, right? When we look back on every generation, but the thing that gets people through is hope and gratitude, right? Things that we have that are really good and hope for good things in the future.
Yeah, I love this because I'm going back to the Oprah days. Okay. So Oprah was bringing this whole gratitude moment in the early, probably late 90s, 2000s. And everybody thought she was smoking crack. They just thought she was off her wagon. And I did too. And I remember being super negative as a teenager and up into my adulthood. I would do it for a day. And I was like, well, this isn't working. And then I would give up on it. And it just seemed to keep coming back around no matter who I would learn from. And then I get introduced to Jack Canfield. Little did I know that he's Oprah's neighbor. And they do similar things. They're both really into gratitude and visualization and all of the sort, and really big on kindness. She was trying to teach us all those years ago, and I just bah humbugged it because I was just a grumpy chick, grumpy, unhappy chick. So I just think I'm thinking of all the people who are going to be listening to this podcast and they're in a dark space. We both know what it's like to be in a dark space and not see the good things around you. So can you help them? And how would you explain the real impact of having a daily gratitude practice?
It's easy to dismiss gratitude as just being too simple and it's not going to work. We live in a world that complexity thrives and simplicity is dismissed. And it should be the opposite. But we make our lives complicated because we feel like we're doing something great. If our lives are super busy, and it's interesting when I think about this because if we look at marketing 50 years ago would show somebody succeeding by being on a beach or doing what they love. A successful person would have free time to do that. And now when we see successful people, they're on a phone, leading a board meeting in a giant tower, hustling, doing all these things. And it's like that makes them successful. And I think that's the message that we've kind of put with gratitude of going, it's kind of too childish, right? Like you said, when Oprah was introducing it, everyone's kind of going, nice idea. That's not really going to help my life.
Mm-hmm.
I need, I need a lot more than that. And it's true. There's things that can stack on a gratitude. There's therapy. There's all sorts of wonderful things that can go hand in hand with gratitude. But if we start with gratitude is such a great foundation that we can do today that we don't need anything else. And the idea is you just take a minute to pause. And I think having a reminder, that's what I needed. It wasn't just saying, hey, you should think about something you're grateful for. I had to see the blue button. I had to have a visual reminder to remember to do this. And so I think a lot of people, when they go, well, that doesn't work, two things I think are happening. Number one is they don't have a reminder. So if you have a gratitude stone, if you have a blue button, if you have a picture of your family, if you have something that means something to you, set it out so you'll see it daily. I needed that. That was my catalyst. And number two, a lot of times we feel like we're faking it. There was so many times too where I was like, well, I'm grateful for Colorado. I'm grateful for this opportunity. I'm grateful for the food. I'm grateful for the house. I'm grateful for the whatever, my health. But it felt like wasn't being truthful. I wasn't really grateful for those things. And so what I learned through the process is we want to say I'm grateful for, and then you add the word because, and then you fill it in. And what happens then, as I've been on this journey, is gratitude can stay in our heads when we just kind of make it like, yeah, I'm grateful for this meal. I'm grateful for my career. But if we say, I'm grateful for this meal because it allows me to have the energy I need to go spend time with the people I love. I'm grateful for my career because it has allowed me to purchase things that I would have never had, a car that runs well or a safe place to live. I'm grateful for where I live because I get a chance to see 300 days of sunshine. All of a sudden, when we say because and we fill it in, it's like this magic moment where our head finally connects to our heart. We stop just living up here because I've lived most of my life in my head.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I've had this weird heart where I'm like, well, I don't really know what that does. It keeps me alive. But the heart is where the feeling is created. And what happens when we say I'm grateful for and we feel in because we actually feel it. We resonate with it. And that's the thing that I've learned a lot about gratitude. I was just kind of doing it wrong when I started. But what I realize now is gratitude is like a healing balm for me too. The other night I woke up. I don't know if you've ever had like one of those, a dream or just stress where you wake up and I just lay there and I'm like, man, how am I going to get past this stress? I'm in my head. I'm just spinning out here. I just want to go back to sleep or find some peace. And what I find in those moments that when we just feel that anxiety, that daily stress that we do find every day in our lives, if we just take a couple breaths, allow our nervous system come back online, and we go, okay, you know what? It's okay to feel that stress. It's okay to feel what I'm feeling. And I'm also going to bring in some gratitude. It's almost like if you've ever had a chapped lip and it's starting to crack and you don't have
Mm-hmm.
anything to put on it. Like I've had those moments where I'm like thinking about it and it's getting worse and worse and my lips are getting more chapped. But once I get chapstick, I put it on. I could breathe again. My lip is not fixed. If my lip just cracked, the chapstick did not heal it. But what it does is it surrounded it with a healing balm.
I love that.
And it's a lot like just bringing a healing balm into it. It's not fixing it right away. It's not making everything all right. It's not fake positivity, but it's bringing in the healing process.
I love it. I love it. So I think I remember you mentioning that after BTS, you went to a men's group. I think this was you, and you did a gratitude exercise and you weren't so sure about it, how they would respond. Can you share a little bit about that experience?
Sure. Yeah, I forgot about that now that you talk about that. It was a moment where I think when I left BTS, it really reinforced surround yourself with people that you want to become like. At BTS, there was so many like-minded people of bringing in their dreams. And when we started our mastermind group from, that experience, we all kind of spurred each other on to keep moving forward. And you launched your podcast and Tashai's writing her next book and all these people are doing stuff. It's like, wow, there's good energy here. And I always want to surround myself with really good men that have gone first, people that I look up to that are great husbands or great grandpas or great fathers or, they've gone first, a lot like a Jack Canfield, a man that has gone first that I could look up to. And so I went to this men's group and there's a bunch of different age men there and everyone takes turns doing a teaching. And so I was going to teach one on gratitude. And I was actually really nervous because I brought these gratitude stones and like a little how-to sheet. And I'm like, this could go so poorly for me.
Yeah.
I might just get laughed out of here. These guys might go, dude, are you kidding me? A gratitude rock? And we all took turns taking the rocks that we picked. So I actually have one on my desk here. I'll show you. So it's just an
Nice.
engraved river rock that says gratitude. And I keep this one with me at all times, that I can. But I gave everyone a stone. They got to pick it out. And then we talked about how do you use this? Whenever you see this, you think of 3 things you're grateful for. And there was about 12 men in the room, and every man took that moment to say, I'm grateful for because, and they said 3 things. And there was like this energy shift of them when the light bulb comes on play, and you're like, wow, this is wild. And a lot of the guys were like, this is one of the most powerful things. I'm so grateful that and I don't mean to keep saying grateful, but I'm grateful that you shared this because I never had something like this. And I have been stuck in fear and anxiety and scarcity and all the human things that we go through. But this little stone, everyone took that stone knowing that they now have what's equal to the blue button. And it was just so powerful. And I just kept reminding myself, like, don't stop talking about this because people need to know. There's somebody out there that desperately needs to know that they can use gratitude to change their life, but they just haven't heard yet.
Yeah. No, it's so powerful. And it's exciting to know that men were willing to open up and be vulnerable. And I think we need so much more of that. You took a chance. Like you could have just been like, I'm going to keep that rock in my pocket and I'll just come up with something else. But you know what? You took a chance and you're like, you know what? I'm going to try this. And if it doesn't work, so be it. But they got something really, if you think about it, gratitude is a very simple concept, but it can be life changing. And having these men like open up, and like you said, who knows what somebody was walking through that day? We don't know. But just having those few moments of gratitude and hearing other men open up made a safe space for them. So, like, super proud of you for doing that because I know, like, I don't know what it's like being a dude, but I'm sure it's different. Right.
Sure. I appreciate you saying that. And I think the liberation I saw in the room was we all realized that when we can have grief for things that we've been through in our life, and we can also have gratitude, and grief and gratitude can coexist. I think there was a lot of freedom in that because I think one of the things that is a big hang up for people with gratitude is they feel like I have to just pretend that things are fine. I have to pretend that
Right.
that didn't matter, that happened, or I have to pretend. And that's the joy of gratitude. It's never getting rid of or diminishing something, but it's coming alongside of something. So we can still grieve something in our life and have gratitude for some other things as well. And those can coexist. And I think as a man, sometimes it's just, we want to reject that kind of stuff. But to know like grief and gratitude are part of our journeys and they can coexist very well. And it could be a healing balm on that grief. It doesn't diminish or steal that grief away. We can hang on to that grief and heal that grief, but they can coexist. And it could be a really beautiful thing, having a really hard thing happen and also finding some things that we can really be grateful for despite life not being the way we had hoped or despite the circumstances. That's what
I
was pretty
love
powerful.
this. If there was a listener that wanted to get together, let's say with like their church group and do this exercise, is this something that they can learn on your Gratitude FM podcast or have on your website? Is this a tool that somebody could easily get a couple of instructions or prompts and take this back to their community?
Absolutely. I love that thought. Now that you've said that, I need to put that into action. So I will put something on the website where people can get the 3 steps of pick an object, think about 3 things you're grateful for, and just use the phrase, I'm grateful for. And that's the good news. If you don't have anything that's like a gratitude rock, you could just start. But I think the other thing is I always end with the 3 thank yous. So like I say, I'm grateful for this because, so if anyone's wondering how do they start this or go, well, I don't have a gratitude rock yet, right? I haven't really learned how to do this. They can literally just press pause after this recording and it maybe start with one thing. I'm grateful for blank because of blank. And then I just end with that. It's almost like a little prayer. It's like, thank you, thank you, thank you. There's something about that word thank you that just kind of, it almost seals it in. It's like, wow, this is really good. But I'd love to put some more resources on there. So in the next week or 2, I will have some things on there, maybe like a gratitude starter kit, digital PDF that
Love
people
it.
could download. But I really do believe that it's just starting maybe with 1 rep. It's kind of like, hey, you can't run 10 miles, but what if you did 100 feet or what you walked 100 feet today? and
Exactly.
just start adding on, maybe adding more gratitude as you go. But I think, yeah, starting today and not waiting, because I've waited too long. But
Mhm.
here's what I should say. When's the best time to plant a tree? 30 years ago. When is the next best time? Today. And so I think a lot of us wish we would have had this tool earlier, but it's great that we start now because that's when we start to see a life change happen and more happiness and more
Yeah.
joy and more peace.
I gotta tell you, the gratitude journal, personally for me, once I finally got over myself and tried it, and I made a commitment and said, I'm gonna write 5 things down every night. And that's part of my nighttime routine. It's sit down, write down 5 things I'm grateful for. Some people do it in the morning, but I like to do everything at night. That's because I'm not a morning person. But get up, grab my book, write 5 things I'm thankful for, write 5 affirmations, and then, of course, do my mirror exercise. I don't know if you're still doing the mirror exercise.
Yeah, tell us about the mirror exercise for those
Okay.
listeners that don't know what that is.
Okay. So another Jack Canfield tool, but the mirror exercise is something that you can do to help you to raise your self-esteem. So basically every night, this is what I do. Before bed, I go in front of the mirror. I look myself deep in my eyes, which is super awkward because I refuse to make eye contact with people, but I'm working on it. And then I basically talk to myself and I tell myself what I was really proud of myself for doing for the day. And I've done that every night since 6 months ago, since BTS left. And it really has been transformational. So today I'm going to go stand in front of the mirror and say, I'm so proud of you for being positive during the 2 meetings that you really didn't want to be at, but you gave it your best, you know?
Yeah.
And it's so, I don't know what it is, but it just makes you're acknowledging yourself. And for some people like me, I really am uncomfortable with being acknowledged. It's a thing, but I have to learn to receive that. And what I realize is that it's okay to acknowledge yourself and give yourself a pat on the back. I think that's something that I'm really missing. So yeah, so I do that every night. I look at myself in the mirror and talk to myself. I'm comfortable with that and sharing that. Yeah, give it a when we left, I think we were supposed to do it for 40 days, if I remember right. And I just kept going because I'm like, I need this most out of everybody in this room. And so I'm just going to keep going and keep up my routine. And it's really has impacted my life. And like you mentioned with gratitude, my day job, my job is to thank people. And it's actually like the best thing to just call people and just tell them how grateful you are for them and for their donations. And it makes people just light up. And gratitude, and even just the smallest ways, even saying thank you to the cashier at the store, it can just, it's like that little spark of, okay, I see you. Great. But it really can transform someone's energy, or if they're having a bad day, you just never know when someone's having a bad day until you walk up on them. But yeah, just a little bit of gratitude every day and kindness makes a big difference in our world.
It does. And even the idea of maybe telling yourself what you're grateful for about yourself too.
Ooh,
Like,
I
hey,
gotta
I'm
work on
grateful you
that.
showed up today. I'm really grateful that you've been exercising and taking care
Mhm.
of, your health because now you're going to be around a long time for the people that you love.
For sure.
I wonder if we could even incorporate more gratitude in the mirror exercise for ourselves because you're right. It's so easy to thank other people. And it's so much joy of like
Yeah.
thanking someone that is serving, serving the communities and doing all this. But it's hard even then to thank ourselves,
So hard.
right? What
Yeah.
if we did that? What would the world look like if we all looked in the mirror and just had gratitude for how we showed up in the world and how much better can we keep showing up? I don't know. Just you've sparked something in my brain when you mentioned that. And I thought, what if gratitude can be implemented in the mirror exercise too as we do that?
I love it. I'm willing to try. I like it.
Yeah,
I
couldn't
definitely
hurt.
like it. You know what's so funny? I'm going to ask a question about success, but I was having lunch with my boss, I think last week, and he's going into retirement. And he was talking about that businessmen that he knows, they're asking if he can kind of be their mentor and talk them, help them like basically get their life together. They spent so much time on their career that they have neglected their relationships with their wives and their children. Our boss is really big about gratitude too. And what does success mean to you now that you have this gratitude moment versus what success looked like, several years ago?
That's a really good question. I'm still trying to figure that out. I think that's another piece of my world where I'm going, what is success for people? Because I think we define every successful thing differently. Like you're talking about, your boss is going to pour into these different people that have really led on a high level. And some of them thought success was growing their career. Some of them thought success was maybe being home with the kids more. But I think for me, what I believe success is having a goal and going after that goal and achieving that goal. And a lot of our goals are going to be different. And a lot of them, and for me, I'm still trying to figure out, like, if I look back at the end of my life, could I say, yeah, well done? Or would I go, oh, I missed it? This is my journey of learning what that looks like by starting this little small gratitude movement. And here's the thing, like, I want to say that this gratitude stuff I'm doing is for everybody else, but it's really just so I don't forget.
Mhm.
I'm really
Mhm.
just doing it
Yeah.
for me, and I want to teach my kids, and I hope it impacts for somebody else's life, but I have to keep talking about it, keep doing it, because I'm going to forget. What I don't talk about, I just forget about.
Mhm.
And I've done that many times in my life about a lot of things I get excited about. I forget about it. And a year later, everyone's like, hey, how's mountain biking going? I'm like, I haven't been on a bike in 6 months. They're like, dude, you were on fire for mountain biking. And I go, I know, but I got busy. So I think we have to keep talking about things that are successful for us to
Mhm.
chase after and to move after. And for me, my goal is to never stop talking about gratitude so I don't forget. And I'm hoping that success would look like that I was able to share one idea that they shared with their family and their kids. It's like this old story. I love this story. It was in one of the Napoleon Hill books where this little kid goes up to the mom, and this story is written, so long ago. And the kid's like, why are we poor, mom? Like, does God want us to be poor? And is it just our lot in life? And she's like, you know what? God doesn't want us to be poor. The problem is no one in the family has ever had a bigger idea of where we can go.
That's so
Not
true.
one person has ever thought this is not for us. We want to go somewhere different with our life. And it was like this shocking realization that I think if we don't share what we want to do, we don't have a place we want to go. We just kind of stay wherever we are
That's
at.
very true. Mhm.
Well, so
Yeah.
that's what I've been thinking about. I'm curious what you think too. What's coming up for you?
Yes. Yeah, totally. When especially being a Black woman, there's a lot of limitations in our culture about what Black people can do or should be doing. And I grew up in a household personally where weren't really taught that we couldn't do something. We just did it. So for me, that's part of my journey of leadership is I really want to go into low income neighborhoods and teach leadership skills and build up the self-esteem of these teenagers and young children and even the parents to believe in themselves that there's so much more that they can offer and really supporting these communities and in particular thinking about Altadena where my family's from and really uplifting that community in particular because after the whole fires I was like what can I do to help. This is our family's hometown. Everyone's lost everything. All the kids lost their schools. What is going to be my piece? And I would love to just go and talk to kids and uplift them and help them know it's okay to dream and to come up with ideas and then create a plan of action of how to make that happen. And then to align them with mentors that can walk through that with them so that they can continue to live out their dream and then hopefully at some point be able to, link them up with investors and people like that so they can actually get started. Because one of the things when I was working with kids, and a lot of the kids, I would just give them random stuff to do just to keep them busy because they were always saying they were bored. And so I would tell them to come up with an idea or come up with an invention and they would come up with an invention or some type of business. And then I'm like, this is good. You should keep going with this. And so I would have them create a PowerPoint, random stuff, right? But they would come up with a PowerPoint for their business. What is the problem that they're trying to solve? And they would just light up. And it was just so fun for them, and telling them, you don't have to wait until you're an adult to do this. You can get started right now, right? And they were like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you can actually start right now. There's kids that have businesses now."
Mm.
I don't know if in the schools in Colorado have this, but we have this thing called BizTown, and where all these different companies come together, and the kids basically they have to apply for jobs, and so they go to BizTown and they work for certain companies and learn about different roles and things like that. And it's just a cool idea, but I would love to really mentor these young men and women, and just really encourage people to be positive. I think we need more positivity in the world, and to think greater things and to take action, and that's what I hope.
Well, I love that, and I think that's so powerful. And I think about when we were all kids, someone asked, "What do you want to do when you grow up?" And you want to do this. The problem that happens is people stop asking
Mm.
and we forget. And I think one of the biggest roles that we have as people is to be, there's titles like CEO, COO. I think we need to be the CRO. And I love that because I don't know if that's a real thing, but the chief reminding officer for ourselves
Love it.
and for kids. I mean, can you imagine if a kid said, "I want to start a business that impacts my community," and they're 8, and next year when they're 9, someone goes, "Hey, remember what you wanted to do? How's that going?" "Oh yeah, I did want to do that." "Oh, now you're 10. How's that going? How can I help you? Remember what you wanted to do?" And they're like, "Yeah, I want to start a business." Can you imagine those kids would do that? And I think
No,
for us, it's like we got to keep reminding ourselves and other people, like you're saying, kindness and these good things in the world, because we just forget. Life happens and we forget. So if we could be the CROs of our dream, that could change the world. Be the chief
I love
reminding
that.
officer.
I love that. And it's interesting because, we're talking about kids. And after leaving BTS, I had my BTS high, and I was driving down a road, and I'm like, if we could just get to the children in all areas of the world, if we could just teach them these principles, I know our world would be a better place.
Yes.
I know it. And I just feel like that's part of my mission, is somehow I got to serve kids. Somehow I got to get this information to kids that are not getting the access to this information. And, some people, like, their parents are just trying to survive. Like, let's be real, and they don't have a whole lot of time to do things. But I would love for schools to have programs like these that, yeah, it could be an elective, but I think it's really important to teach them the really, I think the principles are really life skills that everyone should be learning, and it would just make such a huge difference. And I love the fact of reminding people of these dreams, and being okay to change your mind also, but out to stay focused on your dream and keep asking those questions. That's really important for kids, is to continue to have the conversation with them and build that trust early with your kiddos. I did want to give you a compliment about some of the changes that I know that you're making to be more intentional with your time with your girls, and spending time with them and doing fun activities. And what is one way that you are focusing your time with your kids that you can recommend to any of our listeners, of making the most of the time that they have with them?
That's a great question. I think before I became a dad, I always thought I'll have all this time. I thought when my kids are 18, they're going to be, "See you, dad. I'm going to college." And I'm realizing now that I had this way shorter window than I thought.
Mm.
When I drop my daughter off at school, she says, "Dad, can you give me a hug now before we even get to the parking lot?" That's I get it. I totally get it. But what I realize is they're becoming more independent than we were when we were kids. The world is just faster now. And so for us, we've let go of like the TV stuff. We've let go of the device stuff because they have devices at school. I get that.
Mhm.
We're not doing devices at home if possible. There's going to be exceptions to the rule, but really trying to kind of teach them about the world. So we've been riding bikes together. We're trying to really do stuff. I decked out our front yard with like a slack line and Ninja Warrior stuff.
Have
But
fun.
it's really like, what if we spent time doing active things together? What if we played board games? Not get like
I love
nothing wrong
that.
with video games and all. That's great. Still family time, but like we're going old school. We're doing board
Yeah.
games. And I actually got one called Cash Flow for Kids, and it's done by Robert Kiyosaki, the guy that wrote Rich
Yeah.
Dad Poor Dad. And it's an idea of like teaching them things that I'm learning in my 40s about how do I handle money well. And it teaches a kid what
So
is an
critical.
asset versus a liability. And it's just been a joy for it's honestly dad needs to learn this stuff. So I figure if it's
Hmm.
made for kids, I'll get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we just have a lot more fun and a lot more intentional conversations because we've kind of let go of some of the digital stuff. And knowing that the digital stuff will come in as they get older, of course, phones will come
Hmm.
in and all that.
Right.
But I really want to capture today because it matters and I won't get this time back.
Absolutely. And I love that, the simple things, because honestly, the one thing that I would hear from the kids in my program, and I must have talked to and had kids in my care, probably thousands of kids. And the one thing what they would always say is, I don't have enough time to just hang out with my parents.
Mm.
They didn't even want to like go to Chuck E. Cheese. They said, I just want to cuddle up on the couch with my parents and like watch a movie or play a game with them. And that's all they wanted was
Oh, so
time.
powerful.
And
It
it's
was,
so simple.
yes. It's so simple. And I had a haunting conversation. I was at my neighbor's house and they were throwing a St. Patty's Day thing. And I was just standing in the kitchen. It's one of those moments where I didn't really know anybody. And so I'm kind of just making small talk. And there was an older guy across from me, and he's probably 67, 70. And we were talking about parenting and his kids are grown up. And somehow we got on the topic of what do you wish you would have known when your kids were still at the house? That you look back going, yeah, I wish I would have known that. He got really quiet and then he like got emotional. I could see it in his eyes, when someone's eyes kind of get glossy and they get a little red. And I thought he's going to really say something that he's been thinking about. And he looked up and he said, my biggest regret is this phrase, just give me 15 more minutes.
Mm,
He
mhm,
said he used that phrase when he was a parent. Hey, dad, can we do? Yeah, no problem. Just give me 15 minutes.
right,
And I've used that phrase.
right. Wow.
Just a few more minutes, or I just got to wrap this up, or I got to, and then
Mhm,
the night gets away. But it was so powerful to hear him say that because this is someone that has gone first in their journey. This is someone that the kids are grown and gone. They don't get a do over. And
mhm,
for him to be the CRO, chief reminding officer, to say, don't say this to your kids when they ask for time with you. Say, you got it. Let me stop what I'm doing because this is important versus just give me 15 more minutes. Because it's never 15 minutes. We all know that. It's kind of like the word maybe. Hey mom, can I do this? Maybe. You're like, well, that's probably a no, But I
mhm.
love that he shared that with me because I didn't know that. I didn't know that was a bad thing to do. And like you mentioned, every kid just goes, I just want more time with my parents because they really don't have much time. They get home from school. There's a 2-hour window before dinner and bedtime, and then it's over.
Yeah, honestly, I remember so many conversations because the kids that were in my care were in an after school program, and they would just talk about their day. They're like, "We get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. Our parents are rushing us around because we got to make it to before school care, and then we have to eat our breakfast on the run, and then they pick us up, and then we have to go to baseball practice or dance or piano, and by the time we get home, like we have to eat dinner and then get baths and then go to bed. Like we have no time." And then if we didn't finish our homework at after school, then we got to stay up and do that.
Yep.
Like there is no time for anything. It's a lot. And I think for me, like hearing you talk about your girls and being reminded about, parents get busy and they kind of put their kids off. But for me, like thinking about the time that I got to spend with my dad, I spent a lot of time as a little girl with my dad.
Mm.
I really cherished those memories. And there came a point when I became a teenager, and I think it happened with all my sisters that I just think my dad just didn't know what to do with us. He just was like, they're teenagers and they're hormonal and just don't like it. And just kind of backed off because he just couldn't relate. Those fishing trips that we went on, like we still talk about that. And remember when, I remember even being a 4-year-old and all the other my siblings were all at school and I got to hang out with my dad all day. All of that stuff I remember. And he used to take me around everywhere and like, oh, remember when we used to go to KFC and get the little chicken littles and we would go have lunch after preschool? And like we were talking about all these memories, and my dad has memory issues, but he remembers those times of all the fun trips. So I really cherish those times with my dad. And it's so important for people to just slow down, and everyone's trying to tick things off of a box or, keep up with the Joneses. But in the end, what really matters is time with your family and loved ones. You can't get that time back. Life is so short. And, even just a little bit of time to get to know your kid, because there's nothing worse than walking in to pick up your kid or your kid at the babysitter. And let's say you don't know your kid's favorite color or something like that. And your babysitter knows more about your kid than you do.
Yeah.
Are their friends at school? Like, that's stuff that you should know, and you gotta have those daily conversations or even in the car, like, those short moments.
I love that. And I think what can happen when we hear things like this and we haven't been doing these things, there can be like that shame spiral of, oh
Mhm.
my goodness, I've been doing it wrong. I'm the worst or whatever. And it's like, hold
Yeah.
on, just press pause. When's the best time to plant a tree 30 years ago? When's the
Mhm.
next just today? Like, what if there's one more conversation that's had with if you're a if you have a family, you start with your kids. If you don't, you start with a sibling or your parents or anybody that you care about, right? I think that's the joy in knowing like there's no shame if we haven't been doing these things well.
Mhm. Exactly.
But the joy is that we've now heard there might be a better way for us, or there might be a new tool that we can start using. And then to see what's on the other side of life, and we maybe implement that one conversation or ask the kid that matters to us, what's your favorite color, and get to know them more, all those things, because now we know. Now that it's like we got the seed, do we plant the seed? I love that.
I'm really excited to hear about your 7-day gratitude challenge, because this is gonna be such a great tool that people can use. So can you tell me a little bit more about that idea and what our audience has to look forward to?
Yeah, thank you. When I first got started with gratitude, it just took me so many hours. I watched every TED talk I could. I read every book on gratitude. And what I realized is you just need to start. Like I could have just skipped all the books and just started practicing. And I think a lot of us, we just need that reminder. We talked about just that quick reminder, whether that's a stone. So I put together this 7-day gratitude challenge that you can sign up for. And you can just go to gratitude.fm. And I just liked FM because it's like you tune into the dial, you get the
Mhm.
wavelength, and it's just
Love it.
gratitude.fm. And you could just sign up to get 7 days worth of just one idea a day comes to your inbox of one small step you can take to start practicing gratitude. And at the end of the day, in the end of the week, you can just reflect back. Like for me, it took 1 week of really doing gratitude, once, twice, 3 times a day. And I felt like I was changed in a way that I actually had eyes to see. And then you reflect back after you do the 7 days to go, did I learn anything? I mean, the worst case scenario is you just don't do gratitude afterwards. That's fine. But the best case scenario, it could radically change your life and your legacy and the people that you love most, because now you can share that with them. So you sign up, you get the 1 day gratitude idea. And then at the end of the 7 days, you reflect and see, has my life changed at all? And if so, how? Looking back to go, wow, I think I might be a little different, or I think I might have a little bit more hope or a little bit more vision for my future. And then just to see where life takes you with that.
Love it. And I have to ask, because we're like mastermind people, is what is your long-term vision for Gratitude FM?
Never stop talking about gratitude.
Yeah.
If I leave one thing with my kids, I was thinking about this. Number one, to know that they're deeply loved. And, we come from a faith perspective that there's a creator that deeply loves us. That's very important, that we know that we were created because we were deeply loved. That's my opinion. That's how I see the world. And number two is if I could leave them with gratitude where they can see the good things in their life, I think that could be a success.
That's so much. Love that. Love that. Gosh, Justin, I will share a gratitude moment right now. Whenever I get a message from you or I hear a message in our group, on Marco Polo. I actually am so grateful that we have someone that is always so positive and encouraging to all of us in some way, shape, or form. So I wanted to thank you for that, for being that uplifting energy in our group
Yeah.
and in your special way. And I think that's your gift. One of your gifts that you have is that you have a way with words and how you make people feel, like people feel seen and cared for. So I
Thank
think
you.
that's something special that you have in your life that you're going to bring into the world. So yeah, I feel like God has great things for you with this gratitude. And I am going to brainstorm after this. And you're probably going to get a bunch of messages in the middle of the night and saying, Justin, I had this idea for a book.
I know I'm gonna be like writing this kid's book. Samara told
The
me to write a
kids
kid's book.
book, the kids book. Okay. I have
Yeah.
this things with kids books, but wouldn't it be the greatest thing if the book was coming from like the parents learning from the kids, because the kids are always learning from the adults. And I
I
just
would
think
love
that
that
would
idea.
be so cool. And I'm sure Tashai would not mind helping you with that book and getting it out there, because I just think I number one, I love kids, but it's just such a great message that can you imagine sharing this book with kids and they're reading this and they're basically repeating what they heard in this book to their parents, and that's another message, and that's going to continue to get spread. Or somebody's reading the book at bedtime with their kids and the parents are like, "Oh, that's pretty good." So it's like all these
Yeah.
great lessons that people can learn. So I have amazing ideas. I'm on a brainstorm right now. I'm starting an empire, a media empire. So get ready for it.
Love that.
So
Thank you.
I'm super excited for you, and so grateful that I got to have you on the podcast
Thank you for
today.
having me. It was great to have this conversation with you. So
Yes, I
I
can't
love
wait to see what you're going to do next with this.
appreciate it. I'm excited for you too. And I love that you started your podcast and it's a lot of work and it's a lot of time and you're doing it. And just cheering you on.
Thank you.
Know like what you're doing here is going to be so impactful for so many people. And you did it. Like you did it. Most people say, I'm going to start it and they never do it. And you did it. So I'm
Yeah.
so proud of you. This is
It took me
awesome.
a year to get up the nerve to actually do it,
You
but
did
I'm
it.
doing it.
You did it.
So I'm super you know what's the worst thing is going back to BTS and you have like all your well, I don't know. Last year was your first year, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is gonna be my third one, but coming back for the second year and realizing I wrote all these goals and I didn't hit any of my goals. And I
Mm.
was just like, okay, I need to step it up a little bit. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to hearing about all the new insights that you get at Breakthrough to Success weekend in a few weeks and catching up and all the cool people we're going to meet. I'm so stoked about it.
I know, me too. It'll be really, really fun.
I'm
So
really
thank you.
excited about your brother. I'm
Yeah.
freaking out about your brother because he has no idea what he's
You
getting
don't know
himself
till you
into.
don't know.
It's
Like
going to
you
be
walk
great.
in and it's a culture shock.
Oh
It
my
really
God.
is.
Just bring extra tissues because he's probably going to be boohooing in the corner. And he's going to be like, what is this?
Yeah. It's like we all take a journey. Some people are laughing, some people are crying, some people are
Yeah,
doing all the above. And I love that because every journey is so different, but we're all there to try to become the best version of ourselves, to
absolutely.
try to find that passion or the next steps of that passion that we've had for years. It's just hasn't come out yet. We don't know what to do with it. In like it only took you 3 years. That's amazing. I mean, I talk to so many people and they have all these dreams and they never did any of them. 20 years, 30 years. And it's like the most heartbreaking moment of going,
My biggest fear.
it's not too late.
Yeah.
80-year-olds go back to college, they get degrees, whatever they wanted to do, you can do it. And people like, nice thought, thank you anyways. And it's like,
Yeah.
let's get you BTS.
Yeah. No, I think that's the thing that I really want people to hear more is number one, that anything is possible, but also I want them to feel in their hearts like they know anything's possible. I've always had that feeling in me. I just didn't know how to get it done. But I just always knew, like, even in the worst moments, I always had this little spark of hope that was always just there flickering. And so I just want people to know that they're loved and supported, but also just the positivity and putting positive energy and good vibes out into the world and bringing on positive messages that's really what I want to create, and really bringing in, I just feel like this is the greatest time that we can is to get our message out. It's really needed. So thank you
I
so
agree.
much for everything that you're doing in the world. I can't wait until you guys buy your extra vacation home in California so that you can start selling real estate here as well,
Sure.
which would be super
That'd be a
cool.
good market to be in and fun market with all the
Hey,
palm trees and the sunshine and the ocean.
hey, hopefully I can buy my house from you one day. It'd be
That'd be
kind of
awesome.
cool. Just super fun.
I'd love
Super
that.
fun. Well, thank you so much, Justin, Morgan. Yeah, just again, remind us about the website and how they can sign up for your gratitude 7-day gratitude challenge.
Thank you. Yep. Just go to gratitude.fm. So www.gratitude.fm. Click on the link, sign up for the challenge, put your email in. I'll send you all the other stuff and you can just start your gratitude journey as soon as you get that up and running. I did. Yeah, I'd love to
Yes.
hear too. If anyone wants to reach out and just share their experience, I would love to hear that. You could email me at justin@gratitude.fm. I'd love to know. I'd love to hear the journey because we all have a special journey. We all have a special story. And gratitude is the thing that gets us to the other side of a lot of stuff in our life and is the healing balm and also is the thing that coexists with grief, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm telling you, I'm signing up after this. So I will be there getting the emails as well and doing the gratitude challenge. And I encourage you to also, everyone that's listening, to give it a shot. Try gratitude for 7 days and just see what that can do for your life. And especially if you're going through the grief process. I know many people who are going through that in different aspects of their life, that this is something that can really help get you through some dark times. So really encourage
Yeah.
you guys to check it out. Well, thank you, Justin, so much for being a guest on the Hot Dog Club podcast. And make sure everyone to subscribe to the podcast. We're going to have another great guest on next week. I cannot wait. Remember that you are deserving of love, health, and everything in between. And I look forward to seeing you all in our next podcast.